Okay. I did not make the mistake of talking to you guys for like 10 minutes before I turned on the microphone this time. Give me just a second to get this together. And please comment and say if you can hear me well enough. If not, I can turn up the mic volume, turn up the gain perhaps a little bit, and everything should be okay. Today with me, Brittany is with me today. She's going to help as usual from past live chats. I think some people have kind of felt a little left out, like they were trying to ask a question or make a point and it was overlooked. So I gave her a pen and a notebook, and she's going to write down things that she sees perhaps being overlooked, and we'll see what happens.
All right, good. Sounds like they can hear you well.
Okay. Oh, okay. Jerry and Jenny C. I sent a poster and a gift. Nice. That's very kind of you. Cindy Marksberry is here. Cindy, I just mailed you a letter along with your t-shirt. And I wanted to let everybody know that I will be giving away more merchandise as time goes on. I wanted to thank the members who had been with the channel the longest, so I got them a t-shirt, which you can see here. There's 2 or 3 different designs, and there's going to be a really, really cool design coming out that a lot of people are going to like as well. I made sure to have a drink with my American Spy Fox coffee mug that Teespring sent to me. Talking for like an hour straight gets crazy. Cindy Marksberry is somewhat of an enigma to me. She's been a supporter of the channel since the beginning, but I've never talked to her. She very rarely comments. I have no clue what her opinion is about anything. And so I sent you a letter with your shirt asking what your opinion is on all this.
Oh, Jerry and Jenny C said they happened to find the banana that Jordan drew, the little Fortnite character he drew.
Yeah, the banana.
Peely is his official name, I believe.
Yeah, my boy loves Fortnite, and he always plays as that banana character. Thanks, man. Dude, he'll be absolutely thrilled.
Oh, he'll love that.
I wish
Thank you.
There was something I could do for you as well. I know who's going to get the next piece of merch.
Yeah.
Jerry and Jenny C. Let me go ahead and get this out of the way. There are women's shirts, there are V-necks, and then there are these things called flowing tank tops.
For women. Well, I guess a man could wear it if they wanted to.
So I just wanted to show this. And the other thing is, if anybody doesn't like the white square that's behind the pixelated fox, if you order the white t-shirt, the square is not there. And this reminds me of the Nirvana in utero shirt. Nirvana's in yellow, and of course the lady underneath. There will be a design coming out that a friend of mine who's a graphic designer designed, and it's going to be very Nirvana-like. Like, as much Nirvana without ripping Nirvana off, if that makes sense. Okay. So, having said that, I hope you all are in good health. I know we haven't had a chat since Kurt's birthday. I wasn't being very productive, I admit, for a few weeks when I was moving and other crap that there's no need to share. But this week I have been more productive. I'm coming out with a video. Details you may have missed in Nirvana videos, as well as backstories to the making of the songs, the lyrics, the meaning of the songs, what they were doing at the video shoots. Like, just really cool information that all fans would want to know. And the history of Nirvana Part 2 is going to be coming out very soon. And the next Nirvana series video is probably going to be the last Nirvana series video. And then I'm just going to concentrate on the band. I'm not going to talk about the conspiracy very much after the next few weeks. I'm going to more concentrate on the band and what they accomplished and their lives. Anything I thought you wanted to say something.
No, just listening.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions they would like answered or anything they'd like to...
We have a new member, Mark Hampton.
Mark Hampton, welcome to Rocker. Mark Hampton just became a member of the channel. Thank you very much. We're glad to have you. And like I said, I have decided each month I'm going to give away merch. And that'll be on my dime. It's not like shit I get for free. I'm going to take money that I make from memberships and ad revenue and then buy people presents, basically. So...
Let's see. Someone, Hannah Clan 1 asked if you like Black Flag.
Black Flag. I like the Henry Rollins band. I really got into post Black Flag Henry Rollins. I never got much in. I mean, I like Black Flag. I like what they stood for, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I was a huge punk rocker, that I was into Black Flag. Now, the Henry Rollins band, I would have loved to have seen them.
Let's see. Michelle Gardner said, any next Alice in Chains?
Absolutely, Michelle Gardner. There will be more Alice in Chains. As I said, I've been very unproductive the last few weeks. I even lost members because of it. And, can I really blame them? Life happens, and mainly my kids being home, I had to homeschool them and keep them productive is kind of what got in the way. But we've adapted to COVID like everybody else, and we've came up with routine schedules, and I've made time where everybody knows, leave me alone, stay out of my office, I gotta work on videos, and my wife keeps the kids entertained, so I have time to make these videos. I'll never start a series and not finish it. It just might take a long time.
Let's see. Rich Corporate says Kurt's Broken Boss DS1 pedal is being auctioned off. Like an effects pedal?
Mm-hmm. It's being auctioned off, probably through Julian's. That's like... Yeah, I was just reading earlier today. Well, I don't want to spoil too much of it because I'm talking about it in a Nirvana video coming up. I was reading about the video shoot for Smells Like Teen Spirit. When you see the kids in the video running, like they just mob Kurt and Chris. They tear the drum set apart. You see a kid running away with Chris' guitar. That's real. They really did steal. They stole the cymbals, the guitars. Those kids just went nuts. They were all Nirvana fans. They weren't paid actors. They were Nirvana fans. And so I imagine there's a lot of Nirvana memorabilia out there somewhere. People might have Nirvana stuff and not even know that it was from a Nirvana show.
Oh, yeah. He also said one of Kurt's pill bottles from March 29th of 92 is being auctioned off. Pill bottle with his name on it. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Cement Shoes asked if there's ever going to be a follow-up Lil Peep video. They enjoyed that. They had never heard of him before.
Man, I just put my foot in my mouth. Okay, so I just said that I would never start a series I wouldn't finish. Probably not going to be another Little Peep video. I kind of thought that more people would be into that, and it got really poor reviews, really poor comments, and really low views, which kind of surprised me because I thought he was a very interesting character. So, not going to lie to you, probably not going to make another Little Peep video. Or if I do, it would just be for members only.
Hannah Clan 1 asked, are you getting any new games soon? Have you heard of The Last of Us Part 2?
Yes, I have heard of The Last of Us Part 2. I love the first game, The Last of Us, and I haven't played any games on the channel for a long time, but I will be playing The Last of Us Part 2 with full commentary. I'm going to play the game, have a camera, and talk while I'm playing the game, a full walkthrough of The Last of Us Part 2. I understand that not a lot of people will watch it, and that's okay, but there are some gamers who have subscribed to the channel that I think would enjoy it.
Mary Dotson asked a frequently asked question, is there an episode 13 of the Nirvana series?
Mary Dotson. So here's what happened. I thought that I had 13 videos. I've actually made a lot more Nirvana videos than people realize. They just don't check out the rest of the channel. There's like 30-something Nirvana videos, and I lost count. My dog just sighed. I lost count. I thought that I was on 14, so I put 14. And then people started saying, wait, where's 13? And I thought it would be funny to say that I was superstitious and I skipped 13. But the truth is, I lost count.
It was just conveniently number 13.
But let's just say that 13 is a very bad number, and we skipped it.
Doesn't exist.
I've always been obsessed with the number 3. The Greeks said bad luck comes in 3. So much for threesomes, huh? But you're supposed to laugh at that. I look like a creep if you don't laugh. Like,
I'm reading. I can't read and listen at the same time. I'm not that talented. Natstar1 wants to know about Foo Fighters series.
yeah, absolutely, man. Foo Fighters. It's all coming. I was kind of surprised that not as many people were into the Foo Fighters. To be honest, I'll probably finish Alice in Chains first because that was the most popular one, and then Foo Fighters. I wasn't a huge fan of the Foo Fighters either, so I don't know as much about them as I do Alice in Chains and Nirvana. So it's become more of a job. I have to dig up information on them. And I just recently dug up some really interesting shit on Dave Grohl, and that'll be in the next Foo Fighters video. And some of it does have to do with his days in Nirvana.
Let's see. Allison Hancock Presley says, have you read Mark Lanigan's Sing Backwards and Weep? I just started chapter 3 myself.
No, I haven't, but I absolutely love Mark Lanigan's cover of the Leadbelly song that him and Kurt did, Where Did You Sleep Last Night? If you've never heard the version with Mark Lanigan, check it out, man. It's great. I'm sure it's got to be on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was on his Winding Sheets solo album, or I think it's called Winding Sheet. I can't remember. It was a Mark Lanigan solo.
Random Guitar Stuff says, any favorite bands beside Nirvana?
Okay, so to answer that question, any favorite bands besides Nirvana? Absolutely, but it's going to be weird because a lot of grunge people don't like metalheads. They think they're too jockey. Like metalheads are kind of jocks, and they like big trucks and muscle cars and all this shit. And I'm not like that at all, but I do like metal. And I've always been a huge fan of Black Sabbath, Death. I went through a Pantera phase in like high school. I got real into Pantera and Hatebreed. What else did I used to listen to? Of course, Metallica. Who didn't listen to Metallica? Everything up to the Black Album. Devil Driver, Skeleton Witch, Cannibal Corpse. I even got into like fucking Demi Borgir and
I like Demi Borgir.
like Norwegian black metal. There's a cool band from Sweden called Istapp. Istapp, and it means icicle. Check out that band. They only put out one album. That was it. But if you're into metal at all, you'll love Istapp's. Also, it doesn't have a name. The album is a symbol of the sun crossed out.
Yeah, like fuck the sun.
I would be curious to know what some of you guys' favorite bands are. Like, if any of you have any contemporary bands that you listen to, there aren't really any new bands that I like.
No.
I think the newest band I've found that I liked was what was that band? I think they were from Brooklyn. They sung Wolf Like Me.
TV on the Radio.
TV on the Radio, man. TV on the Radio is an awesome contemporary band. But besides them, it's so unfortunate the route that music has taken. We need some good rock and roll bands. Like, the only thing out there right now is Red Hot Chili Peppers and Foo Fighters.
Right.
And that's it.
Cindy said, my brother was the metal guy. I was grunge. But we agreed on Alice in Chains.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys... That totally makes sense because Alice in Chains was metal, but they were also grunge. There was like a very fine line that Alice in Chains stayed on.
Jerry and Jenny C said, I'd love to see a grunge point of view on Tupac, which I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I had mentioned. Okay, so I did not forget that you talked about that. In the early 90s, gangster rap became mainstream. Like, punk rock became mainstream and turned into post-punk, which was grunge. And hip-hop turned into gangster rap and became mainstream. And not in the Nirvana series, but in the series I'm doing, the history of Nirvana, I'm going to talk about that. So, like, in the first part, I was just talking about Kurt's childhood and how he used to hang out with the Melvins and talked about Buzz Osborne and Dale Crover. Once we get to the part where Nirvana's becoming mainstream, we're going to talk about that early 90s gangster rap, Tupac, Biggie, all that stuff.
Let's see. Whoa, that was a huge strike of lightning right outside our window.
Yeah, we got a thunderstorm going on right now, so if we lose power, I apologize.
Net says you should do a video about 90s female grunge bands.
Bikini Kill, Babes in Toyland, L7. Who else was there?
Yeah, they just said Bikini Kill, L7.
L7 was fucking badass. Like, L7 is probably one of my favorite all-female bands. Yeah, I would be down for that. And I have to admit, even though Alanis Morissette wasn't grunge, I was a huge Alanis Morissette fan, although I didn't tell my friends. And I was a huge Cranberries fan because of Dolores O'Riordan.
Yeah.
She wrote all the songs for the Cranberries.
I did not know that.
Even Jewel. Jewel was a good guitarist,
yeah,
a
she
good
was.
singer-songwriter. She wasn't heavy, but she was a good singer-songwriter. Do you guys remember... Oh, my God. Kurt Cobain was a fan of this woman. Go ahead. I wanted to ask them if they remember this one solo artist.
No, somebody, I think Mojica, commented and said, remember when Tupac dated Madonna? That just made me laugh.
Yeah, Madonna dated Dennis Rodman, Tupac. Like, I'm pretty sure in the 90s, if you were famous and black, you banged Madonna.
You almost said Nirvana.
Nirvana. Madonna dated a lot of people in the 90s.
Yeah.
What the fuck is her name? Oh my god. Courtney Love even covered this woman's song because Kurt liked this woman. I'm sure I'll think of her name after the chat's over.
Of course. Mazzy Star.
Mazzy Star. They wrote the saddest song in the world.
Yeah.
Fade Into You by Mazzy Star. That song was so freaking sad. Like if you want to depress yourself, listen to that. Who was the really strange artist? She like at the MTV Music Awards, she was live and she like said like cussed out the record companies and oh god, I can't think of her name. Yeah. Oh my god.
Stop thinking about it
Fuck
and then it'll
it.
come to
Weezer
you.
was an awesome 90s band. There's always things I want to talk about, and then when I get on here, I totally forget. This isn't easy. It's not as easy as it looks. Thank you, Brit and Butter, for the $2.
Jerry and Jenny, will you be talking about Silverchair? A lot of people compare them to Nirvana, but over the years, Silverchair changed up their sound.
I liked Silverchair. Oh, that must have been a members chat that I talked about Silverchair.
Maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, dude. I really dug Silverchair. I kind of felt bad for them. That they were so closely compared to Nirvana. Kurt claimed that he got his chorus verse like soft distortion, explode, right? Chorus bridge explode, from the Pixies. And then people were like, oh, Nirvana created this style and Silverchair copied from them. But everybody during that time was writing in that style. All the rock and roll bands were doing the soft melodic, then the distorted, heavy chorus. Like,
Rob Grant asked, have you thought about doing a podcast?
A podcast? Not really. I don't really know what I do. I don't know what it would be classified as. It kind of like is a podcast, but at the same time, taking from other media sources and like showing clips and pictures. I don't know what the hell it would be called, what I do.
I don't know.
I just decided, when I started doing it, I just decided to do it like the 6 o'clock news. You know what I mean? Just be like a news reporter and treat it like that. So it's just informational videos. As far as podcasts, you mean like with other people, like have other people come? If I could get people to do that, I probably would. I did write a letter to Jack and Dino. I just sent out a letter to Jack and Dino, and I'm hoping he responds. He's old-fashioned. He even says on a website he has that the best way to contact him is to write to his P.O. box. So that's what I did.
Net said, call it a mini documentary.
Like a mini music series documentary.
A mini series? Is that
something
the right word?
Something like that. You know what I'm also doing, and I haven't told anybody. I don't think I've mentioned this. I'm teaching myself some new editing techniques. Like hopefully I'm going to be able to do like animation and stuff. And I would like to make videos where my face isn't in the video at all. And I narrate a little bit so you hear my voice, but it would be more like a documentary. Like you would just see pictures and clips, and I wouldn't be in the video. Nirvana, the history of Nirvana, or the story of Nirvana, whatever the fuck I called it, part 1 is like that. If you watch that video, my face isn't in it. Like maybe at the beginning and that's it. And then the rest of it is like a documentary.
Shannon Erdman asked, what do you think about...
I'm still trying to think of that girl's name,
stop.
dude.
Shannon Erdman asked, what do you think about Kurt's car being found at Chris Novoselic's house?
Oh, I think that's insane. And I don't think the police ever, because they were told, this is suicide, don't worry about this, don't investigate, by Don Cameron, their boss, and by Dr. Harshorn, the medical examiner. When your boss is telling you don't do your job because we already know what happened, of course you're not going to investigate. No one ever figured out how Kurt's car got in front of Chris's house. Now, Chris said that he didn't put it there. So who the fuck put it there? Somebody put it there. And unfortunately, we may never know because the police didn't ask anybody anything. Oh, Pat
Melanson?
Pat Melanson. That's a new name. I don't believe I've seen Pat Melanson on the chat before. American Spy Fox, you are awesome. I never know how to take those compliments, man. I'm just a normal-ass dude in a bedroom with too much time on his hands. But thank you very much, all the same. And Jerry and Jenny C., you guys are too kind, man. You guys are always super cool in the chats. You're always super cool in the comments. Jerry and Jenny C. have been with the channel for a while now.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys.
I'm hoping that you guys, you said you got that banana peel present. I hope you wrote a letter with it because I'd like to write you a letter back. Now, understand that if anybody ever writes me a letter, and I have already received letters, by the way, I'm looking at them right now. I'm not going to mention your address or any personal information. Like, I would never do that to anybody. And I won't even say your name if you don't want me to say your name. But if anybody does write, let me know in your letter if it's okay to mention that you wrote, if it's okay to mention your name, because once a week I would like to start doing YouTube stories, which is available to channels with over 10,000 subscribers. And I would like to go over like mail and just read viewer comments and viewer questions once a week on YouTube stories.
Mark Hampton commented and said he had two cars, one with all the tires slashed and the other was at Chris's house.
Yeah, the Volvo was parked in the garage. Courtney had slashed the tires. And the other one was I think it was a Dodge Dart.
Yeah.
It was like a really quirky, neat-looking car. A really neat-looking car. Of course, that's been auctioned off by his family, too. The Dodge Dart was parked in front of Chris Novoselic's house. Please, I'm sorry, I didn't read your comment. Jerry and Jenny C., please try to get the Cobain case reopened. Whew.
If only it were that easy.
I've thought about that. Like, I need to find somebody. It would be nice to find somebody that was in their circle who agrees. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would be so much easier if you had somebody with you who knew Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain and hung around them, who believes that something happened, and sit down and talk to them on a video, you know? Somebody mentioned in the comments Fat Mike from NoFX. I'm going to look into that. Apparently Fat Mike has been pretty vocal about a murder conspiracy.
Alex Schmidt says, I know it's a tough subject, but did you see Chris Novoselic's comment over the weekend? I'm unsure of what that comment was. If you could let us know.
Oh, no. I have no clue, man. Chris Novoselic made a comment over the weekend. I know that he's pretty vocal. If it's a tough subject, I'm assuming you're saying he said something about me. I don't know.
No. Probably something political or going on.
I'm not sure, but I know that Chris believes Kurt committed suicide. I know that. Which, he wasn't there. Like, how the fuck would he know? Chris has even admitted that at the end, him and Kurt quit hanging out because Kurt had this whole new group of friends who were into heroin. And Chris wasn't into heroin. So Chris was outside of the circle as well. You know?
Jerry and Jenny C said the Dodge Dart is in a museum in Ireland.
Oh, it is. The Dodge Dart's in a museum.
That's pretty cool.
So whoever bought it put it in a museum. That's awesome. I also heard that Francis's ex-husband did get the guitar, and he sold it for how much? Like $1 million or something?
Yeah.
So I feel like that guitar belongs in a museum as well.
Let's see. Oh, I guess Chris Novoselic released some comments over the weekend agreeing with Donald Trump and supporting Donald Trump.
What? Chris Novoselic. By the way, I have a quick story on Chris. Not a story, but I'm sure you guys have been confused about Chris's name, his first name. Some publications spell it Chris, Chris. Others will spell it Krist, Christ. Well, it turns out that when his parents, who were from the former Yugoslavia, which is a big part of the reason Nirvana did the Bosnia rape victim benefit show, but that's, anyway, they Americanized his name. His parents Americanized his name, hoping he would fit in more, and called him Chris, but he ended up changing his first name to the way it would be spelled if he had lived in Yugoslavia. So, and that's something I just learned recently. So his name is Christ with a T. And I don't know what Trump was talking about. It's hard to say. Yeah, I don't want to get into politics. But my God, I cannot imagine Chris Novoselic agreeing with anything Donald Trump would have to say. Tell us what they were talking about.
Like the militarizing the police with the riots and
basically martial law.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? I felt so stupid. I put in the community post like, oh, there's fires burning. It's about time. Because I was really, really pissed off at what happened to George Floyd. Like, as many Americans were. Just, that shit's just heartbreaking. And I was really angry at the time. And I wanted the police to suffer for what they did. But I never knew it would go this far. Like, I saw footage of 5 grown men beating a woman with a 2x4 for no fucking reason. Like, she didn't do anything. Just wrong place at the wrong time. So in my opinion, there may be some areas where the police need to get tough in order to stop this shit, man. I kind of agree with Chris on the subject. Like, it's a shame that these violent people have hijacked a peaceful protest. What was a peaceful protest? If they're peacefully protesting, leave them alone. It's their constitutional right. But if people are being violent, you got to stop that shit. There was a protest in our town. The police and the protesters walked together.
Yeah, it was
completely
peaceful.
It was completely peaceful.
So Chris Frederick asks, in all God's honest truth, if you could be in that greenhouse when it happened to see the truth, but you wouldn't be able to tell anyone, would you be there if you could see it but you weren't allowed to tell anybody, just to know for yourself?
Oh, if I knew 100%, but I couldn't share it with anyone. Fuck. No, I don't. I'm not sure I would want to know, because everything I've read, everything I've looked at, and I've looked at both sides. In the next episode of the Nirvana series, we're really going to talk about evidence. Like why it was pretty much impossible for this dude to commit suicide. And there's a lot more that needs to be said that people haven't said. I believe that he was murdered. Now, if I found out he was murdered, 100%, but I couldn't do anything about it.
Or tell anyone?
Or tell anyone. I think that would drive me nuts. It already drives me nuts just thinking he was murdered. So if I knew he was murdered and I couldn't do anything about it, I would just feel helpless. Now, if it was the other way around, I wouldn't feel stupid because all the evidence points towards a murder. Like, I don't think
it definitely doesn't point towards a suicide.
That's what I'm saying, is nothing really points towards a suicide. So if it was a suicide, you can't blame anybody for believing it was murder because that's what it looks like, you know?
Right.
What do they say? If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck,
it's probably a duck.
Probably a duck. Like...
I know, I can't find the comment now, but somebody earlier asked if you're still planning a trip to Seattle.
Yeah, trip to Seattle. I was just talking about that yesterday. As far as I know, Washington's still on lockdown. Like, you can't really travel. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as I know, they're not very welcoming to visitors right now. But as soon as what I was really wanting to do was take a train ride clear across the country so as to see the countryside and stop, the end of the line would be Seattle, and eventually I'd want to make it over to Aberdeen as well. And that is something I'm going to do. It's just a matter of
the timing.
It's just a matter of when I can do it. And I have the money to do it now. I got my income tax return and shit.
Finally.
So it's just a matter of, waiting for everything to open up. And I'll let everybody know, like, I don't give a shit who joins me as long as you're not trying to kill me. You guys, I'll meet up with people.
Let's see.
I actually know Seattle pretty well. I could give a tour.
Jerry and Jenny said, I love old 60s music too. Would you ever do a video on older bands that influenced the 80s and the 90s bands?
Well, there's no doubt that Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin influenced all of those early 90s bands. I mean, you can hear Led Zeppelin in Soundgarden. You can hear Black Sabbath. Like, not gonna lie to you, I was never a Beatles fan. I like the Beatles, I appreciate what they do, but I don't stick in Beatles records and listen to them. And I'm sure there's a lot of 60s bands that I don't even know about that were very influential. And, if I'm going to talk about music, maybe I should study this more and learn more about those bands that influenced them.
Sam Moonson said episodes number 7 and 8 are blocked in France. Can you do anything about that? Other than using a VPN, I have no suggestion for that. That's odd.
7 and 8 are blocked in France.
Yes.
I can actually get on my analytics page, and it usually will give a brief description. If something's blocked, it'll tell me who has it blocked. It doesn't really say why. It's usually copyright dispute. But everything I use is under the Fair Use Act. I don't just record things from start to finish and then regurgitate it. I just use little clips to make points or criticize or whatever. I'll try to figure that out, man. And I can dispute it. If I feel as though that's wrong, and I've won disputes before. I just won a dispute with National Geographic. I had clips of a Courtney Love interview from National Geographic. They hit me with a copyright block. I felt that it was under fair use. I disputed it. I won. And you're able to watch it. If I can, I will. I'll try to get that unblocked.
Mark Boutine. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
He said the girl you're looking for, is it PJ Harvey?
Fucking PJ Harvey!
Thank you, Mark. You saved the day.
PJ Harvey, yes. Kurt was a big fan of PJ Harvey. She was she was eccentric, but she had some good music. If you never listen to PJ Harvey, definitely do so. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
Let's see. Cement Shoes says, what about the Jimi Hendrix murder conspiracy? Would you cover that?
I've never, I've heard some pretty crazy things about Hendrix, man. I did have a very short, very brief Jimi Hendrix phase. And mainly because I really dug his drummer. His drummer was badass. I'm going to have to look into that one. I don't know a lot about it. I've heard some pretty outlandish things. I don't know fact from fiction. Maybe I need to watch a Hendrix documentary and get a book on Hendrix. See what's up with that.
Lars Trim asks, some time ago you said Cobain used his credit card at Exodus and booked a flight for two. A flight to where? And then they said Scotland.
Well, I never specifically said that he used it while at Exodus. Courtney Love is the one who claimed that he used his card twice. She said that he purchased a ticket to Seattle. She found this out by calling the credit card company, and they told her, yes, your husband purchased a ticket to Seattle. But then she told, like, private investigator Tom Grant that he also used it again and bought 2 more tickets, but the airline would not tell her where to. And I'm wondering if that's a lie, because why would they tell her? One day they tell her where the ticket was to, and then the next day they refuse to tell her, you know? So it's rumored that he bought 2 plane tickets after he bought his ticket to Seattle, but I don't believe that that's ever been confirmed. I know that the credit card was used up until the day that his body was discovered. Again, next episode, the credit cards, the heroin, the shotgun, that's all in the next episode.
Random guitar stuff. Can you talk about why they destroyed the greenhouse?
That was, and this is, this is just what I know from online articles. I don't know why it was destroyed, but I know who destroyed it. That was Courtney Love. She hired Callie DeWitt's father, Michael Callie DeWitt, the nanny. She hired his father to just take it down. And I think the reasoning or her justification was too many bad memories, makes me too sad. She wanted to sell the property, and maybe she thought that people would be weirded out that somebody died in it. As well, perhaps she was afraid, this is just speculation, perhaps she was afraid that somebody would purchase it to turn it into a museum and charge people to come in and out of the greenhouse, almost like a shrine for Kurt, and that they would make money from allowing people to come in and out of the greenhouse. You know what my opinion is. The bitch had it fucking leveled to the ground. Why do you think she did that? That's up for debate, man. Like, in my opinion, she did it to make sure that there was nothing left of whatever happened in that greenhouse.
Matt Banahan was asking if anybody has talked to Caitlin Moore, like any recent interviews or things along those lines.
I don't know.
Barry James official is seeing investigate the Elliott Smith case, please. What do you think about him stabbing himself in the heart twice in a suicide?
I think it's it would be pretty much I don't know. I'm not a doctor, I don't know, but could somebody stab themselves in the heart twice, like a direct hit to the heart, take it out and stab themselves in the heart again? Is that possible? You wouldn't think so, but I can't speak on that. Man, I'm sorry.
Lydia Garcia.
I do want to do something on Jesus Christ, where's my memory today? Go ahead. The Gits singer.
Yeah, Mia
Zapata. I can't pronounce her last name.
Lydia Garcia says, she said the greenhouse was getting bigger than the Space Needle. She did it because she's guilty.
Yeah. I wish that I was rich enough to purchase that home. I would, if I could purchase that home, which, by the way, the person who originally purchased it from Courtney was the CEO of Starbucks. He was their neighbor. He didn't like them being there. He didn't think they belonged in this gentrified neighborhood or whatever, you know. And he's the one who, like, put up the wall and bought the property, whatever. When I went there and looked down the driveway in 2007, I saw two little Asian kids playing basketball. There was a basketball hoop in the driveway. Anyway, I wish I could buy that house because I would erect a shrine there and just let people come in and visit and like give tours of the house and stuff. That would be awesome, man.
Mark Hampton says, I now believe
What's up, Mark?
It was murder 100%. The police just did a real shitty job and said suicide the minute they walked into the door.
They really did. I mean, they absolutely did. If you look at the death certificate, it says cause suicide, dated the exact same day that they found him.
Right, you can't determine
so
that
how can
instantly.
you say, like, you haven't even got the autopsy yet. You don't even know what's in his system.
Right.
And I think that perhaps they really did think it was suicide because Courtney had already conditioned them to believe he was suicidal. And then when the autopsy report came back and it had 3 to 4 times the lethal dose of morphine in his system, they were just like, oh shit, we better just stick to our guns and ignore this because, you know.
Otherwise it'll prove we didn't investigate.
Otherwise, exactly, thank you. Otherwise it proves that we didn't do our jobs correctly.
Jerry and Jenny asked, have you ever heard the spoken word with Kurt and William Burroughs?
Who is that?
Jerry and Jenny.
He played noise guitar on. He just like made a bunch of noise with his guitar, and William Burroughs recited poetry, or read his story. What was it? The priest they called him, or something like that.
Yeah, the priest they called him.
I have a little bit, and I was honestly. It's weird that you brought that up because I was just looking for it earlier. I'd like to buy a copy.
Sid Barrett asked, why would she save him in Rome just to kill him a few days later?
I don't think she saved him in Rome. I think she thought he was dead. You know, when she called, she actually did not call 911. Like, I don't know what, you know, in Italy, I don't know what if they have 911
999, I think,
or whatever. She called the front desk of the hotel. Okay, she didn't call the police. She didn't call for an emergency squad. She called the fucking front desk and had them call for help. Okay, and he was unconscious. So she may have thought he was dead. He was unconscious for 20 hours. And that whole time, I mean, did you see her? She had makeup on. Her hair was done. Like, she claims she woke up at 6 a.m, reached for Kurt, and he had blood coming out of his nose, and he was unresponsive. She jumps right up, calls the front desk, and they're gone. Well, why do you why do you look like you've been preparing to get your picture taken?
Right. Because she was. She looked like she was...
I mean, he could have been laying there unconscious for hours before she called anyone, and she just thought, yeah, he's fucking dead. You're right, though. I mean, that you have a right to ask questions like that. Like, you know, everybody has a right to a defense, And we have to ask questions like that, or it just gets one-sided and biased.
Absolutely.
And again, that's my opinion on it. Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing I really want to say. Why doesn't she just confront this topic head on, do a interview with some famous fucking interviewer on international TV and answer all these questions? Why do people like me and you have to talk about it? She knows that we talk about this. She knows that people believe she may have been in a conspiracy to commit murder. Why doesn't she just confront it head on and answer all these questions for herself instead of leaving people like me to fucking answer them? That's what I would do. If I was innocent, I would just say, I didn't kill my spouse. I'm going to answer all these questions and explain why all these coincidences happened. And if she did that and gave plausible answers and rational answers, we might just chill out and say, you know what, Courtney, you're right. Like, we shouldn't have thought this way. But she can't blame us for feeling this way when she fucking chooses to ignore it.
And act the way that she acts.
And everybody who was there chooses to ignore it. Jessica Hopper, Dylan Carlson, Callie DeWitt. Although Dylan Carlson did once tweet to Courtney Love, "Karma's a bitch," and then he deleted it later. But anyway, why don't these people just sit down and all get interviewed all at once and lay this...
Set the record straight.
Just set the record straight and lay this shit to rest, man. Why? Because you could end up saying something that will incriminate you. People have the right to remain silent, to not incriminate themselves. And that's how I feel. That's what they're doing. They don't want to get caught up in a situation where something slips and other questions come up.
Bella Bear commented...
Bella?
Yeah, that's our dog.
Bella
Bear commented, Pat was the one who got Kurt proper treatment at the hospital. He was the one who said he is a VIP, and that's what saved Kurt, not Courtney calling the front desk.
Yeah, at the hospital.
Yeah.
But the person who originally alerted everybody to his condition was Courtney Love. Now, why wasn't Courtney at the hospital saying VIP, do whatever you got to do to save his life? I might not like his answers, but I would love to be able to talk to Pat Smear. Unfortunately, famous people don't talk to non-famous people, so that's not going to happen.
Bella Bear said she is a narcissist. If she did the interview, no one would ever talk about her anymore. Exactly,
Bella. That's my entire point, and that's a big part of the reason. Call me wishful thinking, but I was hoping that this series I created would be viewed by enough people and create enough buzz that it would force Courtney Love to start answering questions. But unfortunately, it's not that popular. Like, if it had hundreds of thousands of views, she'd probably respond to it, at least on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I wish people would fucking tweet this shit to her. Like, I'll interview her myself.
Somebody earlier said, if you interviewed Courtney, what would your first question be?
My first question to Courtney Love would absolutely be, did you have anything to do with his death? That would be the first question. The second question would be, why did you stay in Los Angeles while your husband was missing? Why didn't you go to Seattle to look for him? And then it'd be followed by a whole lot more tough questions. And I would sit down and really think about the fucking questions before I did it.
Ron Armitage says she's the female O.J. Simpson.
The female O.J. Simpson?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everybody knows she did it, but nobody talks about it. Like,
right.
We just talk about
just
it behind
the
elephant in the room. I mean, there have been whistleblowers. Like, you guys know who Thurston Moore is and Kim Gordon is? The famous couple from the band Sonic Youth. they had a lot to do with Nirvana getting signed to Geffen. Sonic Youth was signed to David Geffen Records. They told A&R representative Gary Gersh, you need to listen to this band Nirvana, blah, blah, blah. Kim Gordon, as recently as 2017, said in an interview, when asked about Kurt's suicide, she said, well, most of us, meaning their circle, it was either some of us or most of us, meaning their inner circle at that time in the 90s, don't even believe that he committed suicide. We don't even know if he committed suicide. So if somebody is close to Kurt, like Kim Gordon would say that, you know that there's some substance there. Like, there would have to be. And Kim Gordon even sung at the MTV, or I'm sorry, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. Yeah. She said, she's the one that said, for Kurt, for Courtney, Francis. Like, I don't know if Kim believes Courtney had anything to do with it, but Kim does not believe that he committed suicide.
Appalachian Accent says, do you think Nirvana would still be together in 2020?
If Kurt was still alive, I don't think that Nirvana would have lasted as a band because he was heading in a different direction. And as we now know, Dave is also a very talented musician who wanted to be the front man of his own band. And Chris wanted to be political. But I think that there would be reunions. I think that people would overwhelm them with reunion requests and that they would do reunion shows. I think that Kurt would have had a solo career, just like Mark Lanigan did of the Screaming Trees. I think definitely Kurt would have worked more with Mark Lanigan, which was in the works.
Michael Stipe.
Michael Stipe from REM. I think Kurt would have made a terrific solo artist. Man, it's hard to say what kind of shit he would have came up with. He was always surprising people, you know?
Fred L., yes, we can see your comments. They just go by quickly sometimes.
April 26, 1992. Alright, so how long has this chat been going on?
About an hour.
You guys get bored, just let me know. I'm going to leave you to speak with my wife for a moment while I excuse myself.
To the little girl's room.
There was a riot on the street. Tell me, where were you?
Lydia Garcia, you would ask Drew Barrymore her opinion on this subject, given she was once Eric Erlandson's girlfriend. That's a good point.
Drew Barrymore was also a big drug addict who wanted to be a rock star.
I don't know if you guys can hear or not, but he says Drew Barrymore was a big drug addict who wanted to be a rock star as well. Yes, Kurt did have plans to buy a castle. You are correct, Bella Bear. That would be awesome to live in a castle in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Yes, Natstar1, I can see your comments. Did you have a question? That's a good point, Barry James. I believe that his bandmates and close friends don't believe he killed himself. They can't say because they would be wiped out and have to protect their families. That's Juzu. That's, I think, a lot of the point that Charles is trying to hit home is that people don't put a shotgun in their mouth and pull the trigger after they've shot up and are in the midst of getting high. You're correct. That makes no sense.
Well, like, not only that, you have to understand the amount of heroin that was in his system could not have come from just one syringe. In fact, there were multiple syringes, and he had puncture holes in both arms. That means he had to shoot up in one arm, roll down that sleeve, roll up his other sleeve, shoot up in the other arm, roll down that sleeve, put his shit away, then obtain the weapon, whether it was beside him or not. So like, and like, I'm gonna talk about the whole scenario in the very next episode, and I hope that what I have to offer will make sense to everybody, and perhaps just put the implausibility of him shooting himself into perspective, because I don't even think Soaked in Bleach did a very good job of helping people understand how unlikely it was that he was able to get that amount of morphine in his system and then function. Something else I want to talk about, but I'll save it.
Matt asks, how can I get in touch with you? I like letter writing.
If anybody wants to write a letter, whether that would just be to say hello, if you have your own theory, question, whatever, P.O. Box 1033, so 1033, Athens, Ohio, 45701, and I'll put the P.O. Box. This live chat will be available to watch afterward. I'll put the P.O. Box in the comment section or in the description.
A few people have commented and said, what do you think about Tracy, Kurt's girlfriend?
Tracy Miranda, I think Tracy Miranda is great.
Yeah, they're saying that she doesn't get enough credit for... She was the one that was there when Kurt had nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he went to Toby Vale. And Toby Vale was, at that point in Toby Vale's life, and Kurt even said this, she was not ready to settle down. He wanted a long-term, secure relationship. And Toby wasn't like that. That's why he left Toby. Had Toby wanted to settle down, I think he would have stayed with Toby. Anyway, has anybody ever seen Tracy Miranda? Excuse me. Does she have Facebook, Twitter? I would love to try to get into contact with her, because I just think she's a great person, and I would love to be able to talk to her. Who knows? Maybe she wouldn't want to. But
Alex Schmidt,
what's up, Alex?
The most popular question, Kristen Pfaff. Are you gonna talk about her? Are you gonna do a video?
Yeah, I every time I think I'm ready to talk about Kristen, I think of more things that need to be talked about. But I'm telling you, absolutely 100%, Kristen Pfaff is going to be in the next episode. Her death is going to be in the next episode. Guaranteed. Like, I've already recorded most of it. Unfortunately, I was even in contact with her brother Jason. Jason was emailing me, and at first he wanted to participate, and then all he knew was that I was a YouTuber, and I think I had around 9,000 subscribers at the time. And that's all he knew. I was a YouTuber with 9,000 subscribers. And he said, yes, I'll participate. Then he watched my series and basically told me he would work with me, but didn't want to talk about the conspiracy because, without getting too personal, his family does not want the media attention. Specifically his mother. They have their beliefs, I can tell you that. And they think that something suspicious happened, but they don't want to be public about it. It's almost, I got the feeling that they were almost afraid to talk about it. Like, it kind of freaked me out. So he went from wanting to participate to I'll participate as long as you don't talk about the conspiracy. And I was just like, dude, I can't talk about your sister without talking about the conspiracy.
Like hand in hand.
And so he quit talking to me. He literally just started ignoring me.
But that's all right.
And that's okay. I mean, that's his prerogative. They live a quiet life and they don't want to be in the public spotlight. Even if it's only 10,000 views or 20,000 views, they don't want anybody bothering them, I guess. I don't know.
Somebody commented and said, what if Kurt accidentally overdosed and then Courtney staged it to look like a suicide just for the attention?
I don't think that that's what happened, but I wouldn't put it past her.
Nope.
Like, that woman's life is one big drama. And the more, I mean, I even made a video for members about Courtney's love for Greek tragedies and like all this stuff. I wouldn't put anything past her, man. I really wouldn't. I think she's calmed down in her old age. Although the last time I saw her, she had a dude on each arm going into a nightclub. But
gross.
Yeah, she had like two 20-year-old boys on each arm.
Ew.
Walking into a fucking dance club. They were like, the paparazzi was like, damn, Courtney, you're old as shit and you're still out doing this shit. I think we'll wrap it up in about 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions
Final
or comments, let's get with it. I want everybody to know, I want everybody to expect more videos coming out over the next over the next few weeks. There's going to be not just Nirvana series, but some really cool videos that I hope you guys check out. I'm just sort of honing my craft and trying to figure out the most entertaining way to tell these stories is the problem, really. I'm not a professional. I'm clearly an amateur.
Self-taught.
Yeah, self-taught. So, and I'm still learning more editing techniques as I go. So, but you can't expect some other stuff besides the conspiracy coming out. If I could get up to where like Rock and Roll True Stories, dude, they get 100,000 views every time they put a video up. If I could get to that point, that would be awesome.
Let's see. Oh, someone commented, Chris Frederick, Blind Melon, and Shannon Hoon would be a great subject. They are far more than just No Rain.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, unfortunately. When people think of Blind Melon, all they think about is that one hit song. But I know that Shannon Hoon was a very loved person. He had a lot of respect and a lot of friends. And he would be a character I would enjoy talking about. And I think somebody else mentioned this before. I got my problem. I need to wrap up these series so I can start new ones.
Random Guitar Stuff says, any future drum videos?
Random Guitar Stuff. I would still like to collaborate with people, like find a guitarist and a bassist. And my only barrier is, if I was going to record music and share it on YouTube, I would want it to at least have a certain degree of sound quality. And so it's a matter of getting the right microphones, getting a mixer. These are all things I used to have, and I sold it all, and I wish I would have never sold all my recording shit. So as soon as I have obtained all this stuff, I will be searching for guitarists to collaborate with. I would absolutely love to do covers of 90s bands. It's a pretty popular thing on YouTube. So, thank you all for...
Sam Moonson says, tell us about how you record your Nirvana covers.
Oh, I mean, I only have, I think, one a Nirvana. It was just done with a cell phone. That's why it sounds so shitty. That's what I'm saying is I need better recording equipment to to be able to produce better quality sound. Nobody wants to watch a drum cover done with a shitty old cell phone, like,
Right.
you know.
Not with today's technology.
The only reason I uploaded the ones I did is just because I had mentioned I played drums and some people asked me to. That's the only reason. So I would love to, you know. It's just a matter of obtaining the equipment. So, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this chat up. Members, you can expect a member chat very soon, and I'll get with you guys. I'm going to give out some more merch at the end of the month. I don't know how I'll do it. Maybe I'll just randomly pick people, and somebody will end up with a coffee mug, somebody will end up with a beach towel, stuff like that, or a t-shirt or whatever. And man, I just thank you guys for coming and listening to me and sharing your thoughts and opinions with me. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad that people are still talking about this, and I'm glad that so many people share the same interest. If Courtney Love would sit down and answer all these tough questions, I think a lot of us would have much more peace of mind when it comes to Kurt's death, you know. We just want to know. Either way, we just want to know. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe we should bombard her Twitter feed with...
There you go. Twitter bomb.
But again, thank you guys so much for coming. You want to read off some names or say goodbye?
Mark Hampton, Fred L., Chris Frederick, Sam Moonson, Sid Barrett, Appalachian Accent. Shout out to the fellow Appalachian there. Larry Simpson, Bella Bear. Thank you all for joining us.
Take it easy, guys. I will be putting out a new video probably within 2 days. Thanks a lot.